Welcome into the newest show here on Blue Ridge 11. It's called Let's Talk. I'm your host, Chad Landers. Very excited for you to join us for some really great sports conversations over the next 30 minutes. And as most of you know, I love talking sports, do it all the time, get paid to do it some of the time. So we figured there's so many amazing and fun stories out there from athletes that are floating around. Let's be the place that everyone comes to chat with yours truly. So here we go. Our first guest of 2020 almost assuredly would have been around the top of our 11 to last 20 quarterback rankings, except that his last season for the Manheim Central Barons was in 1999. Just missed the cut. So let's welcome to the show Manheim Central grad, Jeff Smoker. Jeff, first time that our paths are crossing here professionally, personally. Really excited to dive into the conversation. Thanks so much for coming on Let's Talk.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Chad. Glad to be with you guys. It's been a while since I've talked with any media back in Pennsylvania, so it's nice to chat with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to catching up, but I guess the first things first, tell everybody what you're up to these days.
Well, I'm currently in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I've been here for about 10 years now. I met my wife here 5 years ago. I have two beautiful daughters, and I'm working in construction. So, there's not much to complain about these days.
Hey, for sure. That's the best thing we can get in 2020, for sure.
Yeah.
But let's rewind the years here a little bit. Let's go back to your high school days. And as a Baron, we all know they were crushing it in the 90s. Quite a run of District 3 titles there consecutively. And while you were there, this is pretty impressive. From 1996 to 1999, Manheim Central never lost a District 3 playoff game. You guys were 8-0. What was it like being smack dab in the middle of all that?
It was awesome just to play with the tradition that was already there, but there was a lot of pressure on you, but it was good pressure, right? You knew that at Manheim Central we won championships, and so it was good to be a part of that. And it was just, the way we were coached, which I'm sure we'll get into later, was amazing. The guys around me, a lot of good players, and it was just a lot of fun. But I'll tell you what, it was a lot of hard work too. It wasn't easy.
All right, so while we're chit-chatting about the history of Manheim Central, you guys won District 3 championships in 1996, 1997, 1998, 1999. You've got to have a favorite one of those, right? I mean, you were a pretty integral part there for a lot of that. Which one of those did you enjoy the most?
Yeah, I think the last two, 1998 would have been, I think, Muhlenberg. 1999 was West Perry. I actually really enjoyed the West Perry game because I was playing against another Division I player, a running back by the name of Musa Smith. He ended up going to the University of Georgia, I believe. But so that was kind of cool playing against another really high caliber player, and that was a good game too. I think we only won by a touchdown.
High formation behind Swigger. Swigger takes a two-step drop, timing pass, intercepted in the end zone by Josh Shibis, and that's the ball game. And for the 8th consecutive year, the Manheim Central Barons are the District 3 AAA champions.
And that was my senior year, so I think that one probably stands out more than any of the other ones.
All right. Well, as we all remember, you were playing for legendary head coach Mike Williams. He led the program for 34 years, had over 300 wins for the Barons. What was he doing that earned you those District 3 championships all those years that just put you guys above the other teams?
Well, I think there was a lot that went into that. I can't just give the easy answer and say, well, it was a lot of hard work, because it was, obviously. But schematically, I feel like we were always kind of above the curve.
Smoker to the outside. What a fake by Smoker.
Yeah.
Almost gets caught from behind, but still gets into the end zone.
Even now, every year there's new offenses coming out, and you hear about the RPO now and things like that. And we were running the veer back in the day. But I think schematically, we were always ahead of the curve. So when you put that hard work and some of the talent that we had into the coaching that we had, it was just the winning ingredients, so.
Yeah, a lot of winning going on in Manheim Central, but I do want to sneak in a serious question here for you. In that 96 to 99 time, the Barons would make it to the state tournament. They were known for going far into the playoffs, ran into some tough teams there in the quarterfinals and the semifinals. What were some of the frustrations that you remember from those playoff losses there?
Well, I mean, the biggest frustration is obviously not getting to raise that trophy at the end, coming so far. And, we won so many district titles that after a while that didn't seem to satisfy, and you kind of wanted to get to that next, that next level and win the states. That's really, what you really wanted to do. And we just were never able to kind of get over that hump. We played some good teams. I mean, against some good players. Allentown Central Catholic and Berwick, I think, in 97. Strathaven, who had a heck of a quarterback. I mean, we were playing. I'll tell you what, I've been around and I've watched a lot of different high school football in a lot of different states. I watched a lot in Michigan, and Pennsylvania plays really, really good high school football, and it's tough to win a state championship. And unfortunately, we just never were able to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It still continues to be one of the toughest trophies to win there, and there's not a whole lot of them getting handed out these days. Let's get back to you. Senior year, 1999, I looked it up. You were the number 2 ranked QB in the nation, pursued by a ton of college football programs, I imagine. Obviously, you picked Michigan State, but what were some of the other programs that were in serious consideration there?
Well, it was quite the process. It was really a humbling process, that whole recruiting and whatnot. I mean, it was just, I think I had over 30 scholarship offers from all across the country, different conferences and whatnot. But I always kind of wanted to play in the Big Ten, growing up watching the Big Ten and whatnot. So, I had the luxury of my parents being able to drive me around and visit different schools. So I visited, anywhere from Ohio State to Notre Dame to Michigan and Michigan State and Syracuse and Tennessee, and a lot of schools in the Midwest and the East Coast. And so that was kind of the general area that I was looking at. But I really wanted to play in the Big Ten when it came down to it. And it was kind of Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State. I actually committed to play in 99 for Michigan State, and that's when Nick Saban was still there. Actually, Nick Saban came to Manheim to meet me. He wasn't allowed to talk to me because of the rules, but he came and he spoke at one of our banquets in Manheim. He ended up leaving and going to LSU after that, but I committed to play for Coach Saban. There was just they had a lot of good years. There was a good culture there. The campus I liked, the other coaches that were there. I just had a good feeling about Michigan State, and ultimately in the end, that's why I chose them, and I don't regret that decision.
Smoker looking, fires over the middle. It's in, touchdown MSU! He caught it on the back line of the end zone. Charles Rogers just made one of the great catches you'll ever see in college football. He got a foot down, clearly on the back line of the end zone.
All right, let's launch into the Michigan State career here. 8,932 passing yards, 61 passing touchdowns, and at one point you held the Michigan State passing records until it looks like it was surpassed by Connor Cook in 2015. So, how'd that feel, and what'd you enjoy about being a Spartan?
Man, I'll tell you what, being a college quarterback, it was awesome. It was amazing. I was just blessed to have that opportunity. Not a lot of kids will get that chance. Obviously, there was a lot of hard work that went into it, but it was just an amazing experience, playing in front of the Manheim Central fans. I mean, they're awesome. They're crazy. But then when you come running out the tunnel and, Spartan Stadium or 75,000 fans, I mean, it's just there's no better experience than that. And, just having the opportunity to start, I actually started the very first game of my freshman year. The starting quarterback, Ryan Van Dyke, got hurt. And so I was thrown in there right away. And I was like, what the heck? I didn't know what was going on. So I got my feet wet pretty quick. But I played pretty well, and I played a lot my freshman year. And then he came back again my sophomore year, and I ended up kind of winning the spot. And it was kind of mine from there on out. But it was it was a great experience, a lot of fond memories of college, and yeah.
Well, some great rivalries in the Big Ten. Obviously, one of the biggest is with Michigan. Here's a funny question for you. I'm sure you remember this, but you were involved in something they called Clockgate versus Michigan, November 3rd, 2001. What do you remember from that infamous game? And obviously the ending was pretty key. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was, it's when we play Michigan, the Michigan State rivalry, you could pretty much throw the records out the window throughout the year. You can throw the rankings out the window. It's always a tough game. It's always a hard fought game every year. I remember that one being another tough one. It was coming down to the end, and we were trying to drive. we couldn't kick a field goal because we were down 4. We had to score, and we came down to the end.
Smoker in an empty backfield. The Wolverines will try to get there. Underneath Decker. First and goal.
And I remember the play before, I had tried to run it in. I kind of saw an opening and thought I could run it in. Tried to run it in. I didn't make it, and I saw the clock was running. I tried to get the guys lined up as quick as I could, and spiked it with 1 second left. Now they call it clock gate because the Michigan fans didn't believe that there was 1 second left on the clock, and that maybe our clock guy was a little quick on the trigger. And a lot of people asked me about that last play, and there were, if you've seen it, I kind of lobbed the ball up into the back of the end zone. A lot of people were like, "Were you just throwing it up into the air?" And I was like, "No." So I rolled to the right.
Here's Smoker looking for it. High. Michigan State does it. Duck it. The Spartans upset the Wolverines.
Initially, I was supposed to hit TJ Duckett on the right side. Well, he was covered. So my first thought was to look back across the field. And when I looked back across the field, I saw TJ in the back of the end zone going like this, waving his hands, but there was a lot of guys in the way, and I was about to get lit up as I threw the ball. So I kind of had to throw it off my back foot and put a little touch on it, and it dropped right in there, and he caught it, and the rest is history. But that's one of the fonder memories, if not the best memory I had from playing football at Michigan State. So.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's a good memory, and I'm sure when we see the video that is going to be fun to relive there. So Michigan State career wraps up. You head into the NFL Draft 2004. You get selected by the St. Louis Rams in the 6th round. How did that feel to get drafted into the NFL?
It was amazing. It was a dream come true. Getting to play college football. It was a dream, and then getting to play at the NFL level, even getting drafted, hearing your name called was unbelievable. I remember I was in my basement with my family. We were watching TV, watching the draft those first couple of days. A little anxious because I was thinking, I was getting info from my agent that maybe I could have been drafted a little higher in one of the middle rounds, and then another round goes by, and you really start to get anxious, and you finally get that phone call. And I got the phone call from Mike Martz, who was the head coach of the St. Louis Rams at the time, back when they were the greatest show on turf. And I just remember we were all celebrating and hooting and hollering and whatnot. And so that was the beginning of, me getting to play in the NFL. And then I eventually moved down there. I got started with the St. Louis Rams, and I was a backup there my first year. The second year, then the St. Louis Rams, actually, I remember they had a lot of draft picks. They had like 15 or 16 draft picks, I think, that following year. They used their final draft pick on a kid out of Harvard named Ryan Fitzpatrick, who, as you probably know, has turned out to be a pretty good quarterback and has played in the league for quite a while now.
Still going.
So that Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He's still playing, right, for the Dolphins?
Yeah, the beard. I think they call him the beard now. He's got the beard. But he's been playing, ever since then. So he's a year younger than me. So he's been playing for quite a while. So that's who I lost my spot at the beginning of training camp, my second year, to him. And then there were some injuries. And I ended up coming back and being on the squad again for the rest of that season. And then I had a short stint with Philadelphia Eagles and a training camp with the Kansas City Chiefs. And then as quick as it came, it was gone. But it's cool to at least be able to say that I had that opportunity and that I made it.
All right. So you enjoyed it. Wish it probably went a little longer, but pretty happy nonetheless to be in the NFL for a real quick minute. Jeff, thanks so much for chatting with me. Really appreciate you coming on Let's Talk and running through all the memories and all the stories. We really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for having me. Let's do this again sometime.
For sure. Would love to. Lots of fun conversation there with former Manheim Central quarterback Jeff Smoker, but we're not done just yet. Coming up next on Let's Talk, we check in with a former Cacalico athlete who's keeping the Olympic dream alive. That's all after the break.